Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Open Mind Project. I'm Adbait, and for this episode, we're interviewing Jennifer Hobbs. She's a licensed clinical mental health counselor and the clinical director of teen, tween, and child counseling and consulting. Jennifer works closely with children's, tweens, teens, and their families in order to support emotional growth, build healthy coping skills, and navigate challenges at home, school, and in their communities. In today's conversation, we talk about teen mental health, emotional regulation, and how adults can better support young people. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
There
Hello,
we go. Hi. It's nice to meet with you.
and nice to meet with you as well. Okay, I'll just give you a little introduction. I'm Advait Nair. I'm a junior at American High School, and
hmm
I'm interested in psychology and neuroscience, and I want to see how those two intersect. So, do you want to provide a little introduction about yourself?
Sure, I can give you an introduction about myself. My name is Jennifer Hobbs. I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor, and I'm in private practice. I own a private practice, and I work with children, teenagers, tweens, in my state. Focus on mental health, some mental health preventions that I work with other providers in the community, and pretty much anyone work with children.
Okay. Okay, so we can jump right in then. So what inspired you to like start working with kids and teenagers specifically?
A little bit about my background, personal background. So I come from a relatively large family. I am the oldest daughter of nine children. So I've always been around children. I have six younger siblings. Um, and I originally wanted to go into counseling right when I was about 14. So that's why I was really excited to see you reach out to me and were interested in this kind of work
Mm,
because that's sort of where my interest started back when I was about 14.
mm,
So I wanted to study psychology and counseling back in my teenage years. So I went to grad school, and throughout grad school, my focus was more on adults
mm,
and wanting to work more with adults. And all through college and grad school, I was working with children.
mm.
I used to do youth camps. I worked as a nanny, so my whole life was surrounded by children. So it was kind of a big clue that probably I should focus on working with children.
Okay.
So during my grad school, I did my internship, and that was with children as well. And then when I get out of grad school, I did what's called community mental health. So I was working with a lot of adults, but mainly children. And that's when I started serving inside the school systems. So I
Oh,
didn't work in the school system, but I had an agency that sent me in the school system. So I
okay.
got to see a lot of what was going on and support more children.
Oh,
And then progressed throughout my career. And then I just started in the last 2 or 3 years to primarily just focus on children and families.
okay. So you said you own your own private practice, right? So
Mhm.
what's like a day in the life of you working in that private practice?
A day in the life. So because I work in private practice, well, no 2 days in counseling is the same.
Yeah.
So no 2 days in counseling is the same because you work with different clients throughout the week. So one client, you only see them once a week.
Mhm,
So my work primarily, because I'm in private practice, I can be more flexible. So I work mostly evenings and on the weekends.
mhm,
So I can be one day, I could be doing things for insurance companies. I could be creating programs for schools or a program for a community organization related to youth mental health, or I can be focus on clinical stuff for my youth or my clients. So every day is kind of different, but that's sort of the overview of what I do.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. So you said like at the start of your career you were working with adults more, right? And then you
hmm
started gravitating towards children. So could you like go more in depth on that? Like how you switched from like adults to children?
Yeah, so when you do community mental health, you can see a wide variety of clients. So you see a lot wide variety whoever needs services and whoever the referral, my agency at that time sends me the referrals, and I can fulfill those referrals for mental health services. So at that time, a lot of our referrals were mixed with adults. I was seeing a lot of adults because she had already placed, my supervisor at that time had already placed another clinician with the majority of the children.
Mhm.
So I didn't really want to focus on children because, like I said, I wanted to shift towards adults, probably having an identity crisis
Mhm.
of, well, I don't want to just be known for working with children.
Yeah.
But that was where I thrived. And we had my supervisor shifted me from working with children, with the adults more, to transitioning me to work with children because there was a need there. Clinicians were coming in and out. And when she put me there, it was like I thrived because that's where naturally I'm comfortable, way more comfortable in that particular environment.
Mm.
So that's sort of how it happened.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So, okay. So, what do you think like are the most important skills for someone that wants to like work in like this like clinical like mental health field? Like for a therapist or for like a certified psych or something like that. What do you think are the most important skills to have?
Um, the most important skills to have is actually a very interesting question.
Mhm.
All right, so a lot of people think you have to be really, really super outgoing and be really, really like bubbly personality. But the flip side of that, when I was in my undergrad, I noticed a lot of us psych students we weren't very, very outgoing. Like we were mostly introverted. We had a very insightful and very mindful of how we communicate with people, how we make people feel. So a lot of times people think that the most important skill you have to have is to be outgoing.
Mhm.
But I think the most important skill that you need to have is a passion to help someone else.
Oh,
So it
okay.
doesn't matter if you're outgoing, it doesn't matter if you're more of an introvert. If this is your calling, I believe this is a calling, working in mental health.
Mm.
And if this is where you feel that this is where you should be in this field, then I think that's probably the foundation for
Okay.
anyone wanting to do this kind of work.
Okay. Okay. So it's like you should feel like, yeah, I want to help other people. That's okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, I'll just ask you like a few questions about more like teen mental health stuff.
Okay.
So yeah. What do you think are like the most common mental health struggles that you see in teens today in your practice?
The most common thing in adolescent mental health that we see today is a plethora. So I would say the main things are uh, teenagers feel that they're misunderstood and they can't really tell you why they feel misunderstood or articulate how to help others more understand them and to understand what you guys are going through. So one of the main things that we see that teenagers try to, instead of trying to articulate or trying to communicate their feelings, they more try to understand it by reaching out to, I see a lot of internet use when
Mm.
it comes to Google searches on, well, why do I feel this way? How do I feel better? But they can't say what the feelings are and communicate the feelings.
Oh.
So I see a lot of self-diagnosing, a lot of
Mhm.
self-diagnosing of anxiety, a lot of self-diagnosing of pretty much whatever is the trend and whatever is the buzzword for the day. I see a lot of that.
Okay.
Hmm.
So do you think like these self-diagnoses, do you think they have like any weight behind them, or is it just like, oh, I'm trying to be like quirky or something?
Well, I don't, th- I, well, that's a good question. I don't think that teens are trying to sort of be like quirky. I think I think you guys are more trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot of adolescents who are self-diagnosing, you can go look at the list of, what is anxiety? These are some of the anxiety symptoms. And then I'll say, well, I think I have this because I feel this way. Um, I see a lot of that, and it's not completely the biggest picture. It's not a lot, nine times out of 10, the diagnosis is not accurate. But in search of answers.
Mm,
And I think that's one of the main things I'm seeing is a lot of access to information, which is not a bad thing, but it's what you do with the information. Um, so yeah, I always try to discourage self-diagnosing because we don't go through a list of symptoms on how we diagnose. It's a whole lot more that goes into it, but that's one of the main things of not being able to talk about feelings and
yeah.
identify what's going on.
Okay. So speaking of like all these self-diagnoses, why do you think
hmm
like anxiety and like stress, why do you think they're so common in teens? Is it just because of like school or?
I think for the first time that I've seen, so I got my license 10 years ago. So I've been practicing for 10 years clinically.
Mhm. Wow.
And what I see in not in teenagers, not just teenagers, but even some adults. So it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna rag on teenagers. Adults do it too.
Mhm.
So cut you guys a little bit of slack.
Mhm.
But whatever is the trend, a lot of times people try to form themselves into what the latest trend is without really knowing and understanding what mental health is.
Mhm.
So what was the question again?
Sorry, it was
Excuse me.
no, it's okay. Why do you think anxiety and stress, why are they like so common in teens now?
So yeah, so stress and anxiety. Okay. So it's popular, however, it is real.
Mm,
I work with a lot of teenagers, and one of the main activities that we do is I try to go through their day. What does your day look like? A lot of my teenagers are waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we have a lot of our public schools around here. They're busing children. We see 30 minutes to an hour away from their school
mhm,
and home is a larger route than it was, when I was growing up. You went to school in your neighborhood.
mm,
So that's a factor. And then you add on extracurricular activities,
mm,
all this other stuff. So teenagers have a lot. I think I calculated one time, one of my teenagers had a schedule that was um, comparable to someone who's working 60 hours a week.
wow.
So if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, get yourself ready so you can get on the school bus, and then you have an hour-long school bus ride with your peers, and you get to school and you're with your peers all day, and you have a lot of stressors with schoolwork. A lot of teenagers are in AP classes, so they do a lot of extracurricular things. A lot of them do clubs, a lot of sports, a lot of extracurricular activities with that. So by the time you get home, it's about 9 o'clock at night. You still have homework
Yeah,
and chores. So it's valid. You guys are stressful. So I
yeah,
can't say, no, you shouldn't self-diagnose. But under a lot of those diagnoses, there is stress. You guys are stressful. So the levels of stress will naturally increase.
okay.
hmm
Just out of curiosity, what state do you live in?
I must live in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. I live in California.
hmm
So does it get like really cold up there or?
No, it doesn't really get cold here. Right now it's 60 degrees. We've been having some pretty mild winters, but this winter has been
Okay.
a lot of snow.
Okay,
hmm
okay. Okay, so going back to like that a lot of stress, what are like some techniques that teens can use to like alleviate their stress levels?
I think teens and parents have to work together to see what's going on. One of the things that I talk about with a lot of parents and children before the beginning of school is to look at your schedule and try to see the big picture, especially families with more than one or two siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and see what's going on, see the big picture, see what's realistic. Maybe it might not be realistic to do band this year or
Mm-hmm.
this semester or play football. That's a discussion, children and parents have to have together.
Mm-hmm.
See what's reasonable. Look at, okay, you have to wake up at such and such time You're not going to get home until this time. Then you have to do homework. You got to do your chores. And then you want to go do, you want to keep up with your peer friendships. There's not a lot of relaxing in between that. So
Yeah.
parents and children, work together. Always, whenever I'm working with families and children,
Hmm.
I was trying to build a coalition of where can we work together
Yeah.
versus teens do this, parents do this, and then you could just gonna continue to clash.
Okay.
But yes, so yeah.
Okay. So you were saying how like teens, some of them they work like 60-hour work weeks basically.
Hmm.
And I know at least some of my friends, even myself included, like we have so much homework that we start like sacrificing sleep to get it done. So like what is the role that sleep plays in mental health?
Sleep plays a significant role in mental health, especially for adolescents.
Mm,
So I'm not gonna try to pick on you or anything like that because you're young, but a lot of times you do need to take a nap when you get home.
mm,
So when you look at children, so I'm gonna go a little bit to some developmental stuff.
mm.
So when you see a baby, a toddler, they all they do is sleep, and they sleep all the time.
Yeah.
And then when you get to 5 years old, you might stop your nap.
Mm,
So the reason why a baby is sleeping a lot is because their brains are developing. That's significant for brain development.
mm,
So by the time a child is maybe 5 or 6, they don't have to nap anymore. Their brains are still developing, but not at that rapid pace. So
mm,
by the time a child enters into that 11, 12, 13 teenage years, their brains are back to that extreme development stage and they need sleep. Rest is extremely important. So a lot of children, teenagers, parents, make comments, oh, they don't need to sleep. What are they tired for? That's just a natural developmental stage that they're in
mm.
and where sleep is needed. So where you're not getting sleep, it's going to come out
Yeah.
in anger,
Mhm,
irritability, appetite increase. Sometimes you might want to eat more,
mhm.
snack. Sometimes you eat less if you're not sleeping because you got to stay up to try to finish homework. So sleep is extremely significant for adolescent brain development.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of schools like they'll have like small like mental health programs or like at our school at least like before finals we have like a little de-stressing week where they give us like bubble wrap and like drinks and stuff to like cool down or something. So do you think like that's a good thing like schools providing like these mental health outlets or
Yes, it's a very good thing. So mental health in schools have increased significantly since COVID-19.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the awareness is great, and a lot of schools are doing that. A lot of schools are bringing in people to teach children how to do yoga
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
calm themselves down. I see a lot of children learning how to actually do feelings sheets. So they have a lot of feeling sheets, talk about your feelings. Uh, they're bringing field days back. A
Mm.
lot of schools are bringing that back just to have fun and movies. So yes, that's very important, and I'm thankful schools are doing that
Hmm.
um, across the country, it sounds like.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So, have you seen any examples of that, like near schools near you, like the field days and stuff?
So
Oh.
some teachers, so in the high school levels mostly, I can use it as an example.
Hmm.
I actually just learned about this more in details the other day, that if you're in school and you do all your schoolwork and you get all your homework done, you can pretty much have a free period or get on the computer, do what you want to do, not do what you want
Yeah.
to do, but have
Yeah.
some time to relax. And I think that's very important um in modified. You want to make sure you still have some type of boundaries surrounding that. But even some high schools are getting children back outside to play recreational sports, play some team activities. They're just not calling it recess. And I think that's it's going to make a significant difference in the long run
Yeah.
versus where we were prior to COVID.
Hmm. Okay. So, all right, moving away from that, how do you think like social media and like all this online access, how do you think it affects mental health?
So I have two minds of it. I'm going to talk about the positives. So, I mean, we're talking right now. You contacted me on
Yeah.
my LinkedIn page, and I'm in North Carolina. You're all the way in California, and we're able to connect together and talk about this very important topic.
Mhm.
And I've been able to watch your other YouTube videos. Very, very, very informative.
Yeah.
Um, so it's good with that.
Mhm.
Social media has helped children broaden their horizon. A lot of children are able to be aware of their peers in other parts of the country and other parts of the world. So
Mhm.
that's a positive. But for every positive, there's a negative.
Mhm.
So when children are on screen time or using screen time, it can become a huge part of their lives to where instead of connecting with their peers in front of them, they might feel more significant connection to people who they may or may not have ever met.
Mhm.
They may not have seen a picture of a person. So there's some danger in that. There's some natural danger.
Mhm.
Um, I've worked with a number of my young children, young adolescents, I would say between my middle schoolers, boys specifically, have struggled with mental health boundaries.
Mhm.
I mean, excuse me, social media.
Mhm.
So I view social media as anything that where there is interaction between with another person, whether that's reading a review, reading a comment, gaming, and you could talk to someone on a gaming system. So anywhere where there is any one dimensional or one way, two-way communication, I view it as social media. So that's pretty much almost in everything that we do. Too much of social media, as we talked about earlier with child brain development, too much of it can interfere with creating impulse control
Mhm.
because it's there. So anything I think of, if I think of ice cream, I can go online right now and look up ice cream. And I get so many things about ice cream near me. So it's too much of one thing is too much for a developing brain.
Mhm.
So when you have poor impulse control skills, it can come out as um, being being anxious, more attention deficit, hyperactive disorders,
Mhm.
some more anger and irritability if it's not monitored and if it's not put in its proper content. So social media is good, but social media and the internet can have some negative effects.
Okay. Okay. So what are like it's a good thing like sometimes like you can reach out to your friends if they like
Hmm.
if they need help. So what do you think the boundaries what are some boundaries that teens should set with like technology or social media in general?
So that's a good question. So I think that parents have to be involved in that as well.
Mhm.
So one thing that I always share is one of the boundaries is you have screen times on your phone. So it should be put on there to where you can only look at some screen time within a certain window. And
Mhm.
that window might also have to include schoolwork
Mhm.
so that you're not on it all the time. So you're not looking at YouTube videos.
Mhm.
Parents have boundaries. What are some of the rules and regulations that parents have around social media?
Mhm.
I know a lot of parents now don't want their children to use gamings where they can communicate with people they haven't met.
Mhm.
Some parents have age restrictions. Hey, you can only talk to people this age, and we have to know them and we have to see them. So you have to have boundaries, and
Mhm.
it's important. Anything we do is important with boundaries, but the internet is very wonderful, especially when you're struggling with something and you can reach out to a friend, text a friend, but you have to have some type of boundary with it.
Okay. Okay, so that's a thank you for the response. It was really insightful. Um, what do you think? So like phones in general, I feel like recently like everyone's like doom scrolling, like they're just like scrolling on TikTok. Do you think like ex just phones, like what do you think their like impact is on mental health? Because I feel like on a computer, like you can only use it in certain places, but a phone, like you can just like you can basically have access to anything anywhere.
Hmm. So I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective. You said doom
Yeah.
scrolling. So my generation, I graduated high school I'm aging myself a little bit, but I graduated high school in 2005.
Mm.
So in 2005, there's MySpace.
Yeah.
MySpace had come out. Well, I was 17. I couldn't tell you what MySpace looked like. I don't have a clue what it looked like.
Mhm.
So when I went to college, Facebook was new.
Mhm.
Facebook had just came out, YouTube hadn't come out. So
Mhm.
my generation is one of the last generations where there was no social media.
Oh,
So all of this is still relatively
okay.
new.
Okay. Okay.
And phones and things like that. So we're trying to catch up with you guys. We're
Mhm.
trying to catch up with, okay, this is doom scrolling online.
Mhm.
Phones, a lot of countries are saying no to cell phones until you're 16 years old.
Mhm.
And we go back to those boundaries. I think that parents and children have to come up with a system on what does the boundaries look like for cell phones. I know in my state of North Carolina,
Mhm.
we just passed a law that said no cell phones in schools during a certain time. During learning time, you can't have your cell phone. And I think a lot of states are going to start to pick up on that. And
Mhm.
I think we're going to start seeing some of those stressors and anxiety come down. Because when you're doom scrolling, what you're doing is you're training your brain to not focus on one thing at a time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if a person is telling me that they're scrolling like that, I'm saying, okay, what is the main focus? Well, I'm looking at a lot of stuff. So if you look at TikTok, you can be looking at a video on anything. Let's go back to ice cream. Ice cream.
Mhm.
And then in that ice cream video, you might see someone singing down. So you go look up singing videos. And then you find yourself an hour later, you're looking at something that's totally random. And you don't even remember how you got there.
Yeah.
So that's going to help children. That's where that struggle with some of that impulse control can come in. So
Mhm.
it has made a significant impact on our culture in great ways, but no, the internet and cell phones were actually never invented for the younger generations.
Yeah. Okay. So, what habits should like teens start building up in order to like have a good mental health mindset? Like, do you think they should like meditate or like try to go to sleep at a certain time every day, or like what do you think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's one of the main things is create your schedule.
Mhm.
Create a schedule, try to stick to it. Put social media in its proper place. Don't forget, you can also develop real friendships with real people, with your classmates.
Mhm.
Um, and instead of doom scrolling, if you're interested in a topic, go back to some of the old school methods of going to the library,
Mhm.
picking out a book and actually reading the book,
Yeah.
going outside, going for walks. Going for walks is one of the most important things
Mhm.
that will help you de-stress. Some families do go for walks after dinner every night or walk. I know a lot of teenagers, if they have pets, one of their main jobs is to walk the dog. That's a great way to say, okay, I'm gonna walk the dog for 15 minutes, and the first 15 minutes, I'm not gonna touch the phone. I'm not going to text anyone. I'm just gonna walk um the dog in silence for 15 minutes and see where that leads you. You might notice, hey, I made it 45 minutes without getting on the phone.
Yeah.
And then stick it to your schedule. Okay, what do I have to do after walking the dog? Well, you gotta do your homework and keep building from there, and it'll help you de-stress. But put things into their proper perspective and where they belong is probably one of the most important things.
Okay. Okay. So, just like wrapping up here.
Mhm.
So, I guess like for anyone that's like struggling with their mental health and watching this podcast, what would you say to them?
If you're struggling with your mental health, more likely than not, you're not the only person who notice it,
Mhm.
but more people don't know how to bring it out. Although the stigma is changing, a lot of people don't know how to bring it up.
Mhm.
And the first people you can reach out to is your parents. Most teenagers don't want to go talk to their parents. They think, oh, if I talk to my parents, they might not understand, they might not listen. Talk with your parents and start there. Say, hey, I'm struggling. Like I shared earlier, many teenagers don't know how to put words to what's going on. So your parents might say, well, what's going on? You could be honest and say, I don't know.
Mhm.
And then you and your parents work together and collaborate. If you're still struggling, the next place to do is go to your school counselor. The school counselor has great resources to support you. And if you need additional support between your parents, your school counselor, you're building the support system just there.
Mm,
There, you can get some additional resources if some more support is needed for you to go see a professional or anything. I don't think it's necessarily bad to go online and say, hey, I'm struggling and what does this mean? But you have to understand that the internet is not going to be able to give you that clinical interactions that's needed to get you on the right path, if that makes sense.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's all I have. If you have any questions for me, you can ask them now.
So I will ask you one question before we wrap up, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
What do you see in your peers as it relates to mental health?
Sorry, I didn't hear
Or
you.
what are some of the things you're noticing in your peer group, your friend group, or children, your friends at school that's struggling with their mental health? What are some of the things you're noticing?
Um, I noticed like a lot of them they'll go to like AI chatbots because like I guess they're always there and like they'll always kind of like listen to you no matter where you are. Especially if you're on your phone, you can literally just talk to them anywhere. And I mean, I feel like it's a good and also a bad thing because it's a good thing because yeah, you're talking to something at least like you're getting you're getting it off of your chest. But um I saw on the news there's like a lot of incidents where like because AI was just listening to everything you said and it's always affirming you, it would start telling you to like do some very bad things.
Mm,
So, and it's a new technology, right? Like therapists have been around for a very, very long time and they're like a
hmm
very seasoned, very respectable profession, but AI is like so new. And yeah, I feel like it's a good thing to use it, but like you should know like, hey, it's not a real human being and it's like it might not be the best thing. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very insightful. That's
Hmm.
very insightful. That's some of the things that we're seeing here. So
Hmm.
it's the same across the board
Hmm.
with our teenagers. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, that's all I have. Thank you for the conversation. I mean, I can tell that this is your passion, but through your responses and everything. So yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you once again for having me.
Hmm. Okay.
Hmm
So yeah, I'll see you later then, I guess. And yeah, I'll just post this on YouTube, like I said, sometime during February.
Okay.
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 Well,
Feel free to reach out if you have any more
yeah.
questions or anything like that.
Okay. Bye-bye. Keep doing what you're
Hmm
doing, by the way.
But thank you. Same to you.
Bye-bye.